All right, so we're going over a mixed review for Staar Prep. First thing we're gonna do, we have which graph represents f of x. So you guys remember, f of x is just a fancy way of saying y. This is the same thing. So we're gonna plug this into Desmos, and then we're gonna see which one of these graphs match this numbers, okay? Okay, so now I can plug in my f of x equals, or I can put in a y equals, doesn't matter. For right now, we're just gonna have it, just so you can see, guys, that it's the same thing, okay? 3 parentheses, so let's put 3 parentheses. Now your fraction button is right here to make a fraction. I'm just gonna hit it, put the 2 on the top, the 3 on the bottom, and then we're gonna close the parenthesis. Now we have a little x as an exponent, look right here. So for that one, guys, I had to hit the Shift 6 button. So actually, no, let's write it down. So in order to get this exponent right here, you hit Shift and then the number 6. Okay, Shift and then 6 to get this little x. So I'm right here. I'm gonna hit the Shift button with the 6 button right here. There you go, Shift to 6. And I'm gonna put my little exponent. So here's my graph. It crosses at 0, 3, and it's going down. So when I look at my tables, everyone look at your graphs on your paper. All right, this is at 0, 1. This is at 0, 3. So my answer is C. I don't know why it says C, but it's supposed to be the second one, B. Check. So do the same thing here, and the video is going to pause. The Ed puzzle, you're going to have to pick, is it A or is it D? Okay, so do that one first, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so for this one, it says, what is the value of the y-intercept? What is the y-intercept of the graph? And then we have your g of x. So let's type this into Desmos again. Now, if you want to put y equals, we can put y equals. Here, let's erase this. I can put y equals. Some people like that better. And then 73, parentheses, get your fraction. Little fraction button right here. Then we have 4 divided by 5. Close the parentheses, Shift 6. So you can put, no. Gotta close my parentheses like that, and then Shift 6 to put my x. So when I zoom out, so look, I don't see anything, I have to zoom out. My y-intercept is where it crosses the y line. So look, I have to keep zooming out, and I see a little dot. Okay? This is the y-intercept. So I have 0, 73. So it's positive. I'm going to put a little plus sign right here. And then I'm going to put 73. Okay? Now be careful, guys. This one has a decimal. All right? So if I had a decimal, I'll have to put the 73 in front of the decimal. Okay? This one doesn't have a decimal. You can put it wherever you want. This one, just be careful. So what is the y-intercept of this graph? So put this in the Desmos, and then you're going to have to type it in the Ed puzzle. Ed puzzle is going to stop, and you're going to have to select what it is, okay? This is a decimal for your answer. Okay, so next it says, which statement about the graph y equals 8 parentheses 0.25 parentheses x is true? So let's look at these and see which one is true and which one is false. So let's put in the Desmos. All right, I have, okay, so I plugged it in. Now my graph is really far. I'm gonna hit this little house button so I can zoom in closer. Okay. So now this graph crosses, I have a y-intercept where the dot is, look at that. So it's 0, 8. Now, is there an x-intercept? This never has an x-intercept. That doesn't cross the x line, it stays on top. So there is no x-intercept. Let's see what the question says. The coordinates of the x-intercept are 0.250, right? This does not have an x-intercept, so cross it out. The coordinates of the y-intercept are 0, 8. All right, let's look at it. So my 0, 8, that's where it crosses the y line, so that's true. All right. Let's make sure there's nothing else. The equation has an asymptote at x equals 0. So asymptote means it doesn't cross the x equals 0 line. All right, x equals 0. So it doesn't pass it, so that's true. We have an asymptote there. The graph includes the point 2, 1. So let's get 2, 1. So if I click the graph, look, I can move here. Let me go to 2. All right, look, I'm gonna go to 2. Is 2, 1 an answer? Let's check it out. I have 2, 0.5. So this one says if I put a 2, it's 1, and that's wrong. So that can't be it. So we have two answers, guys. We have the G and the H. So now we're going to plug this one in. Let's put this. We have a fraction outside the parentheses and a fraction inside the parentheses. So now I plugged in my graph. This is what my graph looks like. So this goes forever and ever to the left side. I can zoom out, and it's always going to go to the left. This stops right here. This is always going to be at 0. Zoom in. There you go. So it's always good to click the y-intercept. So let me click here. See this? So I have 0, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Let's see what 0, 3, 3, 3 is. So I'm going to put 0 point. Now fill it up with the 3s. Right, like that. You have to fill it all the way up. You see how you have to fill it up? So that's going to be 1/3. That point is 0, 1/3. Okay. So the graph has a vertical asymptotes. These do not have vertical asymptotes. Scratch it out. The graph crosses at 0 and then 2, 9. But mine is supposed to be 0 and 1/3. Okay. So right here, see that? 0 and the 0.3 repeating is 1/3. So this is wrong. That's wrong. The graph has an asymptote at y equals 1/3. All right, there's no asymptotes, only on zeros. The only asymptote is the x equals 0. That's the only one it has. This one is wrong. The graph decreases from the left side to the right side. So let me look at the graph. So if I start on my left, this is the left side, and I go to the right, which way is my finger going? Am I going down? That is decreasing. So that means the only one of these that's right is D. All right, mark that on your Ed puzzle. Now it says which expression is equivalent. So remember, guys, equivalent just means the same. Okay, so we're gonna put this in y equals in number 1, and then all these we're gonna try in number 2 for the y equals to see which one of these are the same. So let's just plug it in. Okay, so let's clear this out. So let me put y equals the square root. Nope. Now for the square root button, all right, let's put y equals. My square root button, guys, you have to go here, and this is your little square root. So my decimal is 8.6. Now I'm going to go to number 2 for my y equals, and you can try whichever one you want, right? Like 15 square root of 5. If you want to do that one, let's try that one. Watch 15. Type in 1, 5. And now I'll get the square root again down here. Put 5 on the inside. So are those the same? No, they're not the same. So this cannot be the answer. Okay. Let's try A. So let's put a 5 on the outside and then a 3 on the inside. So right here, we're going to change it. It's going to be a 3 on the inside. Then it's going to be a 5 on the outside. So now, are those the same? Yes, those are the same. So my answer is A. Okay, mark that. Mark that. Same thing here, guys, equivalence. So go ahead, you're gonna have to answer this the same way and then mark it on your Ed puzzle. All right, so which table shows y as a function of x? So is it a function? The x cannot repeat. X cannot repeat. So my x number, it says it wants to show the function. Which one is a function? Look, I have negative 13, negative 13, negative 13, negative 13. That's the x. That's going to be wrong. Okay, look at this one. Negative 6, negative 1, negative 1, 10. So these are repeating, so that's wrong. I want a function. Which one is a function? Negative 9, negative 2, 0, 0. I have 2 zeros on the top with the x. That's wrong. And this one I have 1, 3, 7, 12. But look, a lot of people are saying, Mr. S, you got 4, 4, 4, 4, but that's the y. We're looking for the x numbers. So this is the answer, H. Okay? So which one of these is a function? What represents a function? That's what it's saying. So find out which one of these is the function and mark it on your Ed puzzle. Okay, now for this one we have the power rule, or we have the product rule. No, it's power rule, yeah. So we have two exponents, one on the outside of the parentheses, one on the inside. So we're going to multiply. All right, whenever you have double exponents, so right here we have x, and remember this is a 1, we have y negative 6, and then we have a 2. So you're going to multiply this number here, all right, and here, like this, like actually just draw the lines, like that and like that. Okay, so what is 1 times 2? X squared. What is negative 6 times 2? All right, let's plug it into the calculator. What's negative 6 times 2? I'm just putting decimals. So I'm gonna go ahead and type in negative 6, give a multiplication, times positive 2, and that equals negative 12. So this is y negative 12. Okay? So I have my answer right here, H. Okay, so you're gonna do the same thing. So I'm missing the number 1. Put your number 1 here and multiply the numbers to see which one this is. All right, mark on your Ed puzzle. So next, it says which the graph of the quadratic function is shown. So right here, I'm gonna plug these into decimals to see which one matches. So there's some numbers we can look at. Look, this dot, this is my x-intercept, is at negative 3. This dot is at positive 1. And then I have a minimum. My minimum is at negative 1, negative 4. So negative 1, comma, negative 4. So these are all the things I have to look at when I'm plugging this in. Okay? So let's just put this. You can put in y equals. You don't have to use f of x if you don't want to. So let me show you. Okay, so I typed in the first one. Y equals x squared plus 2x minus 3. The same way I see it here. And do I have all these points? So I have negative 3. That's good. Positive 1. That's good. And then this one is negative 1, negative 4. So that matches all of my points. So my answer is A. Okay. Now go to 14. You're going to put this to see which one matches. Look at your points. What point is this? Write it down. What point is this? Write it down. And what point is this? Write it down. Okay, I'm going to do this one because this one's a little bit off. This one's a little bit nicer to you guys. It says, find the vertex, axis of symmetry, maximum value, the zeros, the y-intercepts, okay? So now the vertex is always the most important thing. Let's put V for vertex. So the vertex is the top or the bottom. So this has a top part. We'll put a dot right here. Now it is in the middle. Okay, let me zoom in. Look, I'm at negative 1 and negative 2. It's in the middle. So my vertex is negative 1.5. Okay. Now on the other question, this is a whole number. Okay, this is a lot easier. It's on the line, so you see the whole numbers. This is a decimal. That's why I'm doing this one for you. So the vertex is negative 1.5, and I go all the way up to the number 6. Okay. Now, when we find the vertex, the next step, it says the axis of symmetry. So put AOS, axis of symmetry. Now, this is always going to be a x equals, because my axis of symmetry, it always cuts in half like this. Cut in half. So you have to put x equals on your STAR test, because it has to go up and down. X equals the x number, so the vertex and the axis of symmetry are the same thing. Negative 1.5. That's it. That's the x. Remember, this is xy. Axis of symmetry is the x. All right, the maximum. All right, this is a maximum because it's on the top, and it's the same answer. So the maximum is the same thing as my vertex. It's negative 1.5, comma 6. And I think they want the 6 number. Just to let you know, guys, on the STAR test, when they say maximum, I think they want the y number for maximum. Or minimum. Max or min, they want the y number. Okay, is there a y-intercept? All right, does it cross the y line? Yes, right here there is a crossing, so put a dot, and that's positive 4. So this one, they actually just want the number 4 like that. They just only want the y number, so that's nice. Now, what is your 0? A 0 is the same thing as the x-intercept. Okay, where does it cross the x line? How many times does this curve cross the straight line? Twice. All right, over here, that's negative 4, 0. And then you go to the right, here, that's going to be positive 1, 0. Okay? Now for the y-intercept, just in case, guys, the answer is 4. Let's go back to the y-intercept. That one might be 0, comma 4. Okay, so just to let you know, it might go like that. For the zeros, they want the coordinates. I go to the left, so negative 4. I go to the right, positive 1. Okay. So now do the same thing here. Put your vertex, cut it in half, and label everything. All right, the last one's the easiest one. We're going to put this in y equals in number 1. We're going to put this in y equals in number 2. And we're going to find out where they cross. All right, really easy. Can we go to do that for you? All right, there was one mistake, guys, on this one. This was not supposed to be y's. These are supposed to be x's. That was just a misprint. Sorry. So, because it's not going to work if you put y's. You can't. That's the only letter you cannot use. So they're all the same. They're all supposed to be x's. Okay? Because look, watch. If you put it like this, y equals and then a y, it's going to give you an error. So that was my fault. That was a misprint. And it could be r's. It could be s. They're all the same. So we're just going to use x here. So now I zoom out. And where did they cross? They cross right here. There's a dot. So the answer is 530. And they just want the 5. Okay. So same thing here, guys. These are supposed to be x's. Put a little x right here. This is supposed to be an x right here. I think that's the only one. Yeah, there you go. And then find out where they cross. So that was my fault. Misprint. Typo.